yesterday, actually from the whole of the week up until yesterday, doctors are not really happy.
Doctors, mom.
Particularly young doctors on social media.
Oh, I've seen them rant.
Yeah, they've not been happy with a lot of things happening.
But explain to us why they are unhappy.
With the Minister for Health over his comments around, doctors who refuse postings to rural parts of the country and issues around their payroll, so they are not happy. Also, this week, the issues around Charles Amis's death, the hit and run victim, and of course, the baby theft issue where a lot of people have had cause to suggest, a lot of the time, allegedly also, that doctors and nurses, are parts of the challenges within our healthcare system. Some of them feel they lack the empathy the profession requires. On the other hand, they've also been quick to say that the current structure within the health system doesn't, bring out their best, right? And in that case, makes them come across as lacking the empathy for the job they do. So it's brought the health sector under severe scrutiny. A lot of people are not happy, truthful, truth be told. If you go on social media, you look at our videos, the comments, and there's a lot going on. Yesterday on the Big Issue show, we had about 3 doctors, right?
Yeah.
And of course a lawyer. Actually 4 doctors and a lawyer.
Including
including
Dr.
Kwame Sapon, who had so much insight into the conversation. I must say Dr. Norman Ishmael is has a PhD in public health, which is still health. It's a big part of health. So it was interesting listening to them on their views. But one thing is clear. Reforms are needed, and it's important that we try and improve, the current health infrastructure and systems. Others have said that we also need a massive retooling. So I'll try and bring you stories from yesterday's engagements.
Okay, let me start on ChannelOneNewsOnline.com. Stories you'll find on our page or our portal. 6 children escape as fire destroys Saboba Hospital ward. 6 children escape as fire destroys Saboba Hospital ward. Other stories, government to translate math, science materials into Ghanaian languages. That's according to Clement Appiah. Over 600 companies signed up for 1D1F, the Appiah MP says so. Garata food diversion, no single person should control school supplies, Joseph Kumi is saying so. Franklin Kujo, funds wasted on National Cathedral could have improved health care. Other stories, 24-hour economy law to spur agric jobs, according to Joyce Bauer Mokhtari. Rising input costs plaguing farmers, Nitiwo. No DV plate shortage, that's according to the DVLA CEO. Jude?
Interesting. Let me take you to citynewsroom.com. High cost risks hindering off-grid electrification. That's coming in from the Energy Minister, John Abdullahi Jenapo. I'm not sure it's Abdullahi. Yeah, John Jenapo, I think is his name. Anyway, moving on. CDD fellow calls for honest review of Ghana's health system failures, and that's from Dr. Kwame Esiedu Sapon. Also here, VIP extends Ramadan greetings, donates to Cape Coast Central Mosque. Afenyo marking the minority leader is in the news. He says VIP extends Ramadan greetings, donates to Cape Coast Central Mosque. Also here, move beyond rhetoric, create jobs. Afenyo marking tells government 1D1F collapsed due to lack of law. Rashid Pelpo speaking there. Ganata SHS Beza arrested over alleged food supply diversion. And in Gomoakoti, 2 land guards, 12 national security officers remanded for demolishing 60 houses. Ghana Burkina Faso adopt new joint security framework to combat terrorism. And in Mamprobi, the baby theft issue, according to a security analyst, is overblown, suggesting that Ghana is still safe. And the security analyst is Dr. Ishmael Norman. The former health minister, Dr. Bernard Okoboy, calls for urgent completion of Police Hospital Project. And Dr. Thomas Anaba, a former Ridge Hospital CEO and now Member of Parliament for Garu, he says turning away ER patients without assessment unacceptable. Dr. Anaba cautions. Nearly 70% of hospital death linked to emergency units. Okoboy again in the news. And finally here, National Service Authority settles 2025 arrears of service personnel. Charlie, so if you are dating a service personnel or or you are dating one, please be minded. If the excuse was that the money didn't hit, now the money it dropped.
So why would you even go take a service personnel's money?
Oh, but people who are service, if you are doing your service, you can't be in a relationship.
I'm not saying you can't be in a relationship, but why are you taking their money? Scanner saying.
But
Scanner saying you should rather be topping up.
No, if you are dating a service person and the person, they go on dates.
I'm not saying they shouldn't go on dates.
So if a service person is given an excuse of, we can't go on these days because the money hasn't dropped, I'm saying that now the money has dropped. So,
so the dates that was postponed can now be gone.
Exactly.
Well,
if he doesn't stay, that means I just doesn't want to take you, or she doesn't want to take you. So let's be minded. All
right. About graphiconline.com. Stories there. Akashi College of Education honors retirees and see the areas that will be affected by ECG's planned maintenance this week, February 22 to 28. And when Indomie laptops became weapon for sex, no transit trucks missing. Ghana Link insists amid tax evasion probe. Ghana Burkina Faso signs 7 agreements after talks. Ghana Health Service condemns attacks on staff. Visible name tags for health staff non-negotiable, according to the health minister. Health Ministry sets up committee to investigate alleged denial of emergency care. What do you mean by alleged denial? Anyway. And the dismissed petitions against OSP and EC officials. Jude.
Did you know the Garmanche had a road accident?
Yes, I did.
In the OT region?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so myjohnonline.com is reporting that the Garmanche has been discharged from UGMC following OT region accident. It comes with a photograph of the Garmanche who is smiling as he leaves. And, but prior to that, President Mahama actually visited the Garmanche at UGMC after the horrific accident. And that story is also on myjohnonline.com. Majority blast minority over Burkinabe border bloodbath claims. And Ganata SHS story still here as the bears are arrested for alleged diversion of food for students, and other supplies. And these are the big stories on myjoyonline.com.
All right, I'm on gna.org.gh. Stories there. Ghana Burkina Faso sign 7 agreements to deepen security economic cooperation. U.S. Embassy warns Ghanaian travelers against visa overstays during 2026 World Cup. ATU Vice Chancellor urges academic integrity among fresh students. President Mahama extends warm Ramadan wishes to Muslims. GHS enforces uniform name tag policy after Mamprobi baby theft incident, and CDD lauds Mahama's administration for exceptional macroeconomic stability.
I think we should pay more attention to the CDD assessments, right? Here at ChannelOne TV, we also had, a 1-year analysis of the Mahama administration 2.0, which really went well. I think CDD 2, and I think generally, if you listen to the assessment, everybody seems to be rating the government the same, right, in terms of its performance. But there's so much more that needs to be done. Galamsey, Eno.
That was one of the things that people were unhappy about. I think that's also unemployment issues and a couple of other things.
But I see, somebody said that polls are for strippers.
What does that mean?
So the person I felt like the quote is to play with words.
Okay.
Strippers use polls. But when it comes to elections and they say polls, it means something else.
Yeah.
So polls are for strippers to mean that you can't really take polls seriously. You know, there is a two-sword kind of approach.
How can you not take it seriously if you're in policy and you're in government and you're trying to...
If your life depended on the Ayawaso East election,
right,
for example, and the results came out, prior to the results, we were told somebody else was going to win by a very, in fact, the country's leading pollster.
You say fear delegates.
But that's the point. Every election, you fear delegates. Which election? The other ones you predicted in Ayawaso, in Akwete and Co. The votes by not happen. It happened.
It happened.
So I don't think it's a good excuse to say that, oh, people were bots. Well, you can say that we saw, to an extent, quite unprecedented levels of votes by, including the power of Kosiani Beko. You know, but I don't think it's a good excuse to say, oh, people. But I know, back to my point. So if you were there, you would agree with me that polls are for strippers, right?
There where? At
Ayawaso East.
Okay.
Exactly the point. So, what was I even going to say? You divest. Yes, So, back to the issue. A lot of people feel like if you should conduct a poll right now on the performance of the government 1 year into office, 3 months ago, they would have scored the government maybe a B in health, right? But if you have to do the poll today and you ask the same health questions, you know, I can't be languishing somewhere on an E or a D
or an
F, right? Because circumstances change very quickly over time. So it will be interesting to know the performance on government in key sectors. On the economy, I think it's fairly okay, right? Except that people complain utility bills are high. Health, now we know there's a challenge.
Yeah.
You know, sports.
There's always been a challenge with our health. I think it only comes up when issues persist or issues such as Charles Emisa's thing, you know, rise again. Because it's happened before. Reforms, there was a whole meeting, a committee.
In fact, Parliament.
Yes, Parliament. You know, they gave out what should be done and what should not be done. And then we went to, you know, business as usual. And it's happened again. Another committee has been formed. They'll also come out with what should be done and what should not be done and what reforms need to be done. And we'll go back to business as usual. In university. I've always told you that. Keep your scripts as journalists. All you need to do is change the date and the location. Same story. It's not Ghana that we are in. I should have faith.
Have faith.
You.
I have faith.
I'm glad you have faith.
It's a song we sing in church that says faith, mighty faith. You know, you need mighty faith in Ghana. You know, we'll be fine.
Our beloved country.
Can we delve with some of the stories?
Yes. I've opened the 6 children escape as fire destroys Saboba Hospital on ChannelOneNewsOnline.com. A bit of the story. 6 children narrowly escaped harm after a fire gutted the children's ward of the Saboba Assembly of God Hospital on Saturday evening. The blaze, which reportedly started at the entrance of the ward, quickly spread through the facility, destroying the structure entirely. According to nurse manager Mr. George Olamba, the Ghana National Fire Service responded swiftly but encountered equipment challenges. With the support of local residents, the fire was eventually brought under control, preventing it from spreading to other parts of the hospital. At the time of the incident, 6 children were on admission. Hospital staff and relatives acted quickly to evacuate them, and they have since been moved to the male ward to continue receiving treatment. Hospital authorities say an assessment is underway to determine the extent of the damage and the immediate support needed to restore services. I feel like when it rains, it pours in the health sector. So many issues this week. We're starting another week with a fire. We're just happy that the children were able to escape unharmed, and we would hope that one day we'll get the details of what started the fire, because every time you ask the Ghana National Fire Service, investigations are being done, but at the end of the day, we never see the report. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's not meant for public consumption, but sometimes we just need to know what happened, what triggered the fire.
Absolutely.
Just so that we can educate ourselves and the public as to what not to do when it comes to electricity and using certain items.
Especially with the kind of public spaces we have in our markets, in our, even in our communities, right? Very tight-knit. So you want to let the people know, the causes. You want to let them know what the factors, so that they're also minded, right?
Yeah. What story do you have for us?
Yes, I want to take you to the health sector again, and forgive me, right? Because
not at all.
Okoboy is in the news. He made some interesting point.
Yesterday on Big Issue.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
The submission that resonated the most with me was from a lawyer, right? He's with the Movement for Change. His name is Appiah Danquah, and he blamed the persistent no-bed syndrome to politics. So the big headline is Ghana's politics driving no-bed syndrome. Now, head of legal affairs of the United Party, Appiah Danquah, has blamed Ghana's persistent no-bed syndrome crisis on what he describes as a culture of Machiavellian politics that prioritizes power over people, warning that it has contributed to the country's retrogression. And this story is on citynewsroom.com. This follows the death of the 29-year-old engineer Emisa, who reportedly died after being turned away from 3 major hospitals in Accra, Rage, Kolebu Teaching Hospital, and the police hospital due to a lack of beds. Speaking on City FM's The Big Issue show, of course, which also is on ChannelOne TV, on Saturday, February 21, he argued that the recurring challenges in the health sector, including the lack of hospital beds, are symptoms of a deeper political problem. Now, this is the quote: "I'm convinced that the fundamental reason we are facing these problems is because of the very Machiavellian politics we do here in this country. The focus of the politics we do here isn't the human being. It is about how we get power and how we sustain ourselves in power," he said. Mr. Danquah maintained that such an approach to governance has stalled national progress and weakened key sectors, including healthcare. And the story goes on and on and on. I'd urge that people go on YouTube and watch the show for themselves. It gives them a very holistic view of the healthcare system. I love that all of the panelists, especially the politicians, they didn't speak as politicians. They spoke as, candidly. Yeah, they spoke as healthcare professionals, medical doctors for that matter. And I think that if we listen to them, it will help. People say, politicians always get the best idea when they leave government. But the truth also is that when they are in government, their interests are a lot. So much that one person can't have his way, right? Charlie, chief of staff is watching his own way. Vice president is watching his own way. In fact, DCs, MCs, and if you don't sometimes try to meet them halfway, they sabotage your efforts. So, yes, it's true. He was probably health minister. But the point is that he alone can't fix a structural problem that existed for 60 years plus. So I hope that you are minded to relook this.
After the show, I called Dr. Kwame Sapon-Sedu to thank him for joining the show. And that's how I keep relationships with these people. See? You
should show me.
I should show you the way forward. So I called him to thank him for coming on the show. And he was talking about our health system.
I know. They are very passionate about it.
Yeah. And he was saying that if politicians would set aside the politics and take a candid look at our healthcare sector and our shortcomings and all of that, then it would be better for all of us, because it's not the first time it's happened. It might happen again, hopefully not. But we need to take a holistic assessment of our healthcare system, fix the gaps, solve the solutions, and then we can move forward as a country. Because, this is just one story that has come into the public light. But imagine the countless families. I think on CBS throughout the week, people have been sharing their stories of how their family members have died. Those were not reported by us, the media. So imagine the countless number of people who have lost a relative through, this no-bed syndrome. It's like it's normal, but it shouldn't be normal.
It can't be normal.
It can't be normal. And I hope that going forward, we'll take accountability. Me and you have both tried to speak to the GMA and the GRNMA, and they won't pick our calls.
I don't like to do this, but let me get your thoughts. Where do you stand on this? Right? People feel like generally there's that lack of empathy among healthcare professionals, right? And they cite so many examples.
Sometimes I feel they've seen death so many times that they become they become immune.
But that can't be a good reason. You know, that is not even professional.
Yeah.
So yesterday on the Big Issue show, Dr. Thomas Anaba took time to explain the triage process, right? So you can't say you've seen it too many times, but if you listen to some young doctors, they tell you that when we say lack of beds, for example, it is just an English way of saying that there's no real space, but there are also equipment constraints, right? So for example, there could be a physical bed, but the oxygen the patient needs is being used by somebody else. So what's the point in bringing that patient there and not have oxygen for the person? So in as much as is sometimes also a physical space, it's an infrastructure problem and also equipment. You know, there's a report out there, Dr. Kwame Esedu, read on the show.
Yeah.
And for even rich, like in all of its infrastructure glory, people look, a Nigerian came to Ghana, saw the rich hospitals like, wow. But they don't have a CT scan. They don't have the other one, MRI.
Yeah.
And you listen to other people and it's so basic, right? So I'm really torn in this debate. And I listen to my friends who are outside and they say that at the very least, healthcare professionals should at least look at the patient.
Yeah.
At the very least. And, excuse that, you can't treat a patient on the floor and the likes. It's not true. Because a friend in the UK was telling me that he's seen patients, being treated on the floor. And then very briefly before we go, another thing about emergency care is that you're not supposed to be there in perpetuity or for long.
Yeah.
And this is Dr. Anaba saying on the Big Issue yesterday.
Yeah.
According to him, a patient should even be in an emergency ward for more than 24 hours.
Yeah.
The idea of it is that you are looked at because it is an emergency. And then move to. So I hope we have a very dispassionate look of the issues and at least hear from, a lot of the time when we talk about these issues, we talk to the big people. Some of them pass through the system, but they are not in the system again. They are not in the emergency wards. They are in boardrooms, which is also okay. But going forward, I think we should also speak to some of the doctors, in the field.
They're not picking our calls.
And also, we should find them and
you
get
and
them
I
to
have
speak.
tried the whole of last week.
We should find them and get them to speak.
Plus the nurses. None of them are
they should
picking
speak.
our calls.
And finally,
I even forwarded questions to GME. They still didn't
God.
pick my call after the questions I sent them.
Finally, the Ghana Medical Association, registered nurses, they need to speak on the matter. And at the very least, explain to us the process through which they arrive at the conclusion that there's no bed here.
What do their protocols state?
Exactly.
Is all we want to know.
And that will help us going forward in this conversation. Simple. But I wish Minta can do well. I think he's trying his best.
He's got grey hair.
You get that one they forget. But he's also enjoying the perks that come with it.
Well,
I've been to his space. It's a nice, so we make you comfortable to work. So we trust. Yeah. I have confidence in him.
All right, take us on a break.
I wish him well. And on that note, we'll take a quick break. When we are back, there's a lot more right here on Sunday breakfast. You don't want to miss out. Don't go away.